I'd like to talk about the link between percents and decimals. Um, you're not really going to need to know this for much of the homework specifically, but it's good to know how to write percents as decimals, decimals as percents, maybe even as fractions. So, like if you're asked to find 2.8% of 300, what do? Well, you're going to multiply 300 by something, but it's not 2.8, right? 2.8% is a percent. It's not a decimal. What is 2.8% as a decimal? You're going to need to know how to write 2.8% as a decimal. So I'm going to write down, I'm going to make a chart. We're going to do some converting or whatever you want to call it. We're going to do more than one, just so we have a lot of examples. Probably just 3 though, because I don't want to make a big deal of this because there aren't really that many homework questions where you have to specifically do this, but you're going to have to know how to do it. All right, so we'll go back to this 2.8%. Even though this column's listed percent, I'm going to write the percent sign there. Even if it wasn't there, you'd still know that it meant 2.8% because it says percent up here. But I want to write it the way you would normally see it. Let's do one that just has nothing in front of the decimal, 0. Then let's do another one like this. Okay. So the simple rule, actually what I really meant to do, never mind. I was going to write one that had the number here, then these 2 blank, then one. Matter of fact, let me do that. I'm going to change what the numbers were. So let's see, you had maybe and then maybe a fraction you might have, I don't know, 8 over, I'll make it difficult, 8 over 3,000. We want to fill in all the blanks. So in the top one, I want to write 2.8% as a decimal and as a fraction. In the middle one, I already know the decimal. I want to write that as a percent and a fraction. In the bottom one, I know the fraction. I want to write it as a decimal and a percent. So some of these are easier than others, in my opinion. And when you're given a decimal, one of the easiest things you could do is write it as a fraction, and then maybe figure out what the percent is after that. With a fraction, the easiest thing to do is just do the 8 divided by 3,000, get the decimal, and then change it into a percent. So, how do you change a percent to a decimal? Well, here's what you do. First of all, you're going to drop the percent sign, the percent symbol. So 2.8, and get rid of the percent symbol. Here, I'll write the percent symbol. Next step, drop the percent symbol. Then you're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left. So you're going to get notice we moved the decimal 2 places to the left. That's always how you change a percent to a decimal. You get rid of the percent sign, then move the decimal 2 places to the left. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's how you always do it. Alright, once you have the decimal, remember how you write a decimal as a fraction? I'm going to do it over here first because usually when you write something in its fractional form, you want it in the lowest terms. So I'm pretty sure this is going to, when we write it as a fraction the first time, it will simplify. So, how do you write a decimal as a fraction? Well, we talked about that before. You look at the place that it ends at. So this is the tenths, hundredths, thousandths. You write the number 28 over 1,000 because this is the thousandth place. Okay. If that had been the tenth place, you would write it over 10. If it had been the hundredths, you would write it over the hundred. Over 100. So the fraction of 0.028 is 28 over 1,000, which simplifies to 4 goes into both of these numbers. Seven over 250. All right, let's do the next one. The next one's a little bit easier, I think. You might not think so. All right, so there's two things we could do. We could go right to a percent, or we could write it as a fraction. For me, I like to write this as a fraction first. This is 4 over 10. Okay. Now that actually simplifies, you probably know, the 2 over 5. Okay, so there's a few ways we can change this to a percent. Okay, one way is we can use this fraction. Percent means, this is a very, I don't know, bare bones definition, but percent basically means out of 100. So if you can write this fraction, equivalent fraction to this that has a 100 in the denominator, that will give you the percent. So what fraction is equivalent to 2 over 5 that has a denominator of 100? You cross multiply, you get 200 equals 5 times something. Well, this would be 40. You can see 4 over 10, you would just multiply this by 10 and that by 10, you get 40 over 100. That means 40 out of 100. So that means 40%. Okay. The other way to do it, remember how we did this? We just, to change it from percent to decimal, we got rid of the percent sign, then moved the decimal 2 places to the left. Well, here, when you're going the other way, when you already have the decimal, you move the decimal 2 places to the right, and then add a percent sign. Okay? So if you're going from percent to decimal, you get rid of the percent sign, and then move the decimal 2 places to the left. If you're going from decimal to percent, you move the decimal 2 places to the right, then add the percent sign. I'm going to do this whatever way I want. The best thing to do is change it to a decimal first. And you do that just by saying 8 divided by 3,000, which I don't know. So I'm going to do it on my phone. My phone's probably, the battery's about to die. It's probably be the last thing I can do on it. Oh my god, I don't like that number. I'm going to round it. So it is 0.002. I picked I picked that fraction on purpose. Like, I mean, I didn't have it in mind. I purposely picked one that I had no idea what it was going to turn out, because you can have them like that. So I just rounded this. It's really, the 6 keeps repeating itself, so I rounded it. Well, what would this be as a percent? Well, we just showed how you change a decimal to a percent. You move the decimal 2 places to the right. So it's going to look like that. And you move the decimal 2 places to the right, then you put the percent sign on the end. So it'd be 0.267%. All right, so I don't know how much you're going to need this for the homework, but there will be quizzes, or a quiz maybe, and maybe a question or two on the final. So in my next video, I'm going to talk about percents in word problems.